right, this is 7, 5, and now we're going to multiply complex numbers. So multiplying numbers that have I in them. All right, so if you remember, we said earlier that I times I is I squared, and that I squared equals -1. Those are two very important rules to remember. So let's take a look at this example. Let's go ahead and distribute. So 1 times 3 would be 3. Then 1 times -6i would be -6i. I'm going to multiply my inside terms. So 1i times 3 is 3i. And then I times -6. Remember, I times I is I squared. So this is now going to be -6i squared. However, if you look here, we said I squared is equal to -1. So I'm going to change that I squared into a -1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that math. -6 times -1 is 6. And now I'm going to combine any like terms. So I have 3 plus 6 to give me 9. And then -6i plus 3i for -3i. I'm in the correct form because it's real plus the imaginary part. And also now you want to take a look. There should never be any term higher than I in your final answer. So you have an I squared or an I to the third or an I to the fourth in your final answer. You have not simplified it enough. All right, let's take a look at another one. Now, the first one we did was double distributing, but you can also do this using the box method if you prefer. So you're going to put 4 and -2i on one side and 3 and 5i on the other side. And you're just going to multiply each box. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 5i is 20i. 3 times -2i is -6i. And 5i times -2i will give me -10i squared. But once again, remember, I squared is really -1. So I'm going to cross that out. It'll be -10 times -1, so that would become a +10. My like terms are always going to be on the diagonal. That's kind of why I like the box method. So I know that I can combine -6i and 20i. So I'll have 12 plus 14i plus 10. I still have two like terms here that I can combine. So I have 22 plus 14i. All right. You can put the video on pause and see if you can do this one. You can either double distribute it or use the box method, whichever is better for you. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times -9i is -18i. 9i times 2 is +18i. And 9i times -9i gives me a -81i squared. Remember that I squared, however, is -1. And -81 times a -1 will give me a +81. Now that I've simplified it, I can combine my like terms. I have 4 plus 81 for 85. But if I have -18i plus 18i, well, that just adds to 0, so I can just cross it out. And my final answer is just 85. So you can see when I have two binomials that are exactly the same, except one is a plus and one is a minus, I'm going to end up with just a number because my i's will cancel. All right, if I have 2 minus 3i squared, this is the same thing as saying 2 minus 3i times 2 minus 3i. So in this case, both of those parentheses will be negative. So now I can go ahead and use my box method to multiply this out, or double distribute, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to multiply each box. I'm going to remember that I squared is really -1, so I'm going to cross that out and make that a -9. My like terms are on the diagonal, so that'll be -12i. So I have 4 minus 12i minus 9. My 4 and -9 are like terms. So I'll have -5 minus 12i, remembering once again that you want it in the real plus the imaginary part. right? If you have any questions, please let me know.